And just to acknowledge, I know that the microphones not are not booming, so I'm just checking that people can hear me and ish. So I'm going to shout even louder, and I would welcome lots of all the panelists and contributors to really speak from the heart and the belly, so that we can really hear it. So we were hoping to welcome at this point Kathy Betnell Kitchener, who's not here yet, but perhaps she'll make it over from the Blue Zone at some point today. And I'm sure all of you are as optimistic of that as we all are. But it does give us the opportunity to move into the next conversation quite quickly. And just also to say that after that, we have got the world premiere of a really beautiful movie from one of the African climate heritage envoy that has come over. So I just wanted to mention that so that you've got something really to look forward to aside from the conversation. A lot of this conversation is not going to be in English. I'm going to invite Claire up to the panel, who will be introducing it and the participants. This panel is about linking culture, education, and climate empowerment. Such a critical issue at the COP talks this year. A lot of work is being done to start to weave together these themes. Claire is a self-described cultural heritage cheerleader of nature and of culture, and I'm very happy to hand over to her.
Thank you, Alison. This session is being organized by Climate Heritage Network's Francophone Working Group, which you wouldn't know from me speaking, but we will be providing some, not simultaneous translation, unfortunately, but some overviews of the portions that are not in English. Okay, all right, then we'll continue in English, so everyone can understand. And I think I'll give just a quick introduction, and then I will hand over to my colleague Marwa, who will moderate. So we've been talking a lot in this past session and in the other sessions earlier about the work that's being done in cultural institutions and by artists and by cultural actors, and the role that plays in climate action. And I think it's really important when we are working at the international level to be using a shared language with the language that's in the conventions that the policymakers are using, so we can give our value add and really be able to connect our work with the goals that are already set out and the commitments that have already been made. So the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement both contain action for climate empowerment. Can everyone, have you heard of action for climate empowerment? Can you raise your hand if you know those words? Okay, there's a few people, but not a lot. So I think this is a great moment to introduce this action for climate empowerment. This refers to climate change education, public awareness, training, public participation, public access to information, and international cooperation. And these 6 elements of action for climate empowerment are written in both the UNFCCC and in the Paris Agreement. They are important, they are critical for including all members of society in participatory processes for climate action. People need to be able to understand the issue. They need to be able to circumvent the misinformation on the issue. They need to know how they can have a role, how they can engage, and we need to be able to do that at the international level. People need to know how to transition to a more sustainable lifestyle, and they need to know how they can participate in decision making. So ACE, Action for Climate Empowerment, it must include everyone of all ages. This is a lifelong learning process. This is children in school, this is adults in the community, and this is everyone in between. And ACE must center culture. This is what we've been saying. All of these processes must center culture. Culture is a learning tool. We've heard this morning, we had performances that stirred us and made us feel connected to one another. Cultural institutions and learning give learning spaces, they're platforms to bring people together. And culture is there's knowledge that culture holds knowledge that is climate technology. And we have to do this by connecting formal, non-formal, and informal education spaces. It can't just be in schools. It can't just be in cultural institutions. We have to reach across everything. So this is what we're going to explore a little bit today. We've been doing some work this week around Action for Climate Empowerment, and I'm delighted to introduce my colleagues who will take us through the rest of the session. Marwa Sahn, the director of the Centre d'activité francophone at the Bibliotheca Alexandrina in Egypt. Marwa is a former member of the governing board of the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions. She's a current member of IFLA's Regional Division Committee for the Middle East and North Africa. And she's been engaging this week together with other members of Climate Heritage Network and partners in workshops with local students on climate action. We'll then look at some examples from the library world of how really practical action for climate empowerment can be carried out. So with that introduction, can I hand over to you, Marwa?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you, Claire, for the presentation. Like this, it's better. Bonjour tout le monde. Je remercie Claire pour la présentation. Je m'appelle Marwa Elsa. Je suis la directrice du Centre d'activité francophone à la Bibliothèque d'Alexandrie. Alors, bienvenue en Égypte pour les participants qui nous viennent du monde entier. Et je fais cette introduction en français parce que je représente aujourd'hui le comité francophone du réseau de patrimoine culturel dont je fais partie pour la première année. Je ne sais pas s'il y a beaucoup de francophones aujourd'hui ou non. Vous pouvez lever la main, les francophones? Il n'y a pas beaucoup. C'est pour ça, on s'est décidé qu'on va continuer la séance in English. So, as long as the majority of the audience today are not francophone, we can switch to English, no problem. But we're supposed to organize this activity, this session in French, as a Francophone committee, part of the Cultural Heritage Network. And I'm happy that I'm here today to talk about what is the climate education for all, how we can in the cultural environment like libraries, school, arts, how we can work together for the benefit of our earth and planet. So I will start with my colleague Heba from Egypt. She will continue what Claire represented at the beginning about the role of the library in our life.
Good evening. Thank you, Marwa, and thank you, Claire, for the introduction. I'm Heba Ismail. I'm IFLA MENA RDC member, and also IFLA CBDWL, Continuing Professional Development and Workplace Learning member, and Vice President of Arab Federation for Libraries and Information. I'm talking today about how libraries apply the ACE action for climate empowerment. So over the past year, libraries across the world have paused to reflect and recommit to a better climate future. Libraries are natural institutions in which to turn this commitment into action as public spaces, as well as champions for access to information and lifelong learning. libraries are well placed within their communities to be hubs and to have role in action for climate empowerment. In the next slide, I'll explore examples of what libraries in Egypt are already doing and how they have supported the 6 elements of ACE through their activities and opportunities for future engagement. In education, Bibliotheca Alexandrina, in cooperation with Singapore University, target Francophone students and those who are studying French as a second language. 2 workshops were conducted yesterday and are tailored to increase the student environmental awareness and the understanding of changes in the climate and its impact on the quality of life in general through arts and games. In the public awareness, the following program features activities and events dedicated to raise public awareness and inspiring action. For example, Egypt Society for Culture and Development, and this is a non-profit organization that supervises children and public libraries here in Egypt across 4 governorates, organized a workshop and awareness program with the Greater Cairo Water Company to educate young people about environmental issues. Also, Egypt Society for Culture and Development cooperated with the holding company for water and wastewater to organize series of workshops and visual shows and educational competition through games and a puppet theater. Bibliotheca Alexandrina, in cooperation with Greater Cairo Public Library, the Climate Specific Federation, the Federation of Civil Association, Institution for Climate, and the Egyptian Library Association, organized a seminars that tackle climate changes, their impact on agriculture and livestock production, and the means to address them. It also discusses the methods of rationalizing water consumption and examines the role of artificial intelligence and civil society organization. Towards a promising environmentally friendly childhood, this is another activity held by Mr. Public Library, one of the great public library system here in Egypt, in cooperation with the Faculty of Early Childhood Education, Cairo University. This is an initiative that have 3 events: workshop conducted by teachers with ordinary children and people with special needs on origami, paper craft, and recycling, and the other was a cooperation with Rotary Egypt. They carry out agriculture activities, and the third one is a variety of activities that teachers carry out with the children, such as puppet theater and other activities relating to water and electricity and preserving the environment from pollution. For the training, you will see the picture. It's almost an old picture because libraries from the first beginning are aware of the problem of the crisis we are living in and the problem regarding climate. So they have trained librarians on doing many activities for them and many programs, and not only librarian, but librarian and also children and young people. For the public participation, the Minister of Social Solidarity in Bibliotheca Alexandrina witnessed the launching of the volunteer program of the United Nations Climate Change Conference. Dr. Niveen El-Kabbaj, Minister of Social Solidarity, addressed the volunteer via video conference during their gathering at the library and discussed the ministry's efforts in preparing around 1,300 volunteers to organize the conference. Let's Be Green. One of the activities conducted at Maadi Public Library. Maadi Public Library is one of the libraries belong to Egypt Society for Culture and Development, and in cooperation with the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, it launched Let's Be Green. It's an environmental activities within the framework of project for teenagers from 14 to 18 years old, where each team works on projects that represent one of the environmental issues like air pollution, the climate change, ozone layer depletion, water pollution, and radioactive contamination. They are trying to find solution for each problem. Next, please. Also, Bibliotheca Alexandrina have a climathon for youth, sustainable studies in cooperation with youth capacity building and African Relation Support Program. This is a competition held in several countries around the world through EIT Climate KIC, which aims to at raising the awareness of urban residents about climate changes. The competition was an opportunity for young people to participate in developing ideas that address local climate challenges. In action for information, we have like a green corner in our libraries where we can provide children and young with books, teenager with books. And this was a cooperation between libraries in Egypt and the Ministry of Environment. In international cooperation, Bibliotheca Alexandrina, in cooperation with Singapore University, organized an interactive conference via Zoom entitled Yes to Green, Your Right to a Sustainable. The conference addressed the role of formal and non-formal education in promoting literacy on climate change, as well as the theme of green libraries as a new trend in the world of libraries and information. Finally, as climate change is a human-caused problem, human-centered solution will be the key to its successful mitigation, empowering our communities to develop, participate in, learn about, and embrace this solution is a powerful way to libraries to enable and drive change. So we have to count in culture, we have to count in libraries, and act now. Thank you.
Thank you, Heba, for your great presentation. And yes, you have to count on libraries. Unfortunately, in Egypt and in many countries, libraries are not yet people are not going to the library just to read. So we are encouraging people, the new generation, to come to the library, not only to read, but to have different activity to raise the awareness in different way. I mean, we are organizing different activity, workshop, like Heba show. She show us some example, mainly at the Library of Alexandria, because we are really lucky to have such a great library that I'm lucky to work in it. But this is the role of libraries, that we should bring people and we should go to the people around anywhere. And that's what we have done during the COP this year. What we have done with the cultural network heritage, we start to think what we're gonna do during the COP. And then as a Francophone community, we think that we have to go and look for the Francophone community in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we find a French school at Sharm el-Sheikh. And I'm happy to have the director of the French school today with us, because he opened his door to the Library of Alexandria team to come and to organize workshop yesterday. It was an amazing experience. It's a small school, and I will let the director to talk about, but it was really a great experience. We bring an artist, Ibrahim Tchan, and he will talk about it later. And we bring also some Francophone students from Sahn University, and they came and we organized 2 workshops in parallel yesterday for the whole day, and I will let them talk about it, but it was really a great experience, and I take the opportunity to thank both of them for their cooperation. Thank you. So now I'm going to give the mic to Frédéric, the director of the Lycée Français à Sharm el-Sheikh.
Thank you, Marwa. So my name is Frédéric Tumpich. I'm the headmaster of the French School of Sharm el-Sheikh. There are lots of French schools in Egypt where students are educated according to the French syllabus, which implies, of course, English. Are you a teacher, Claire? No, because you raised all the issues, you know, in your presentation. Roughly, I would say there are two main fields. First of all, when you come to explain climate change to kids and teenagers, first of all, there is some hard science to understand, which includes, of course, geology, biology, with the mass extinction, oceanology, atmosphere, with the greenhouse effect, etc. So there is all these parts, which is part of the curriculum, and it's a good opportunity to revise all those notions and go deeper into them. Then there is also other knowledge that are very important to develop. One of them is economy. It's very important to understand since how are we using how and why are we using so much oil, and why is the global temperature going so high. So it's important to understand what phenomena are here happening. And it's also very important to raise the awareness and to avoid the kids to fall into some traps, especially considering greenwashing. And it's important to give them the tools to understand, well, that some public speeches that they will hear are not always very accurate. And it's very, as an educator, I consider we should give them the tools to understand the world where they live in, and the world they live in. And so it's important to understand what lobbying is, how society works with pressures of different groups which have different interests. And a COP is a very great opportunity to highlight all this. So it's also, I would say, there is a third field, which is also how to explain how international institutions function and work, and how people with different interests can meet and collaborate together in an institution like a COP. So it's also a great opportunity to show them what's happening under their eyes right now, from activists to non-governmental organizations, from states which have different interests and different, of course, economical interests to defend. So those three fields, hard science, society, and international organizations, are three major fields in terms of comprehension. And then there is also action and solutions, because you cannot also, we were afraid with my teaching team to have the kids scared too much. So you cannot scare only teenagers. You have to talk to them about solutions. And first of all, I think it's very important to raise awareness of our own footprint altogether. So when we are doing, for example, a beach cleaning, it's important to weight the amount of waste that we collect. It's important also to weight. We want to gather all our trash for 1 month, you know, at school, just to have a vision of how much it is. We want to pass also to. We want to have only gourde, and not plastic bottles of water at school. So we want to show them that with small things you can change your habits and your footprints and your actions. It's not only big international companies or big international conferences, but it's also small moves. So we had we opened our doors to an exhibition from a French non-profit organization, which is called Atelier 21, which is working on low tech. Low tech, as a contrary of high tech. Low tech for good ideas of the past. In fact, it's called paleo energy. Paleo meaning old ideas of the past that have been forgotten or fell or just been, well, squeezed, I guess, by other economic powers. So it could be from natural ACs, very old systems, to batteries, well, apparently 1 century ago, at some point, there were 3 models of cars. You know, cars with functioning with coal, car functioning with electricity. Already, we have a model of a car made by Edison. We have an image of a car made by Edison, which apparently had a battery strong enough to ride for more than 1,000 miles. Yes, that's and of course there was also the cars functioning with gas. So it's important also to show that the progress is not always the best technical solution, that there are other things at stake, like the consuming of energy, the gray energy, this concept of gray energy, the energy that you need to create an object, and not only the energy that you use that you need to use an object. So this exhibition, which is held at school and would be open to the public after the COP, will be is a great opportunity to raise awareness. And this is made through this non-profit organization, which is called Atelier 21, and which is funded by Schneider Electric. We also had this cooperation with la Bibliotheca d'Alexandrie and le Centre d'activité francophone. So it's very important to have new figures and new people different from the teachers to come and to raise awareness. And we had those workshops where the students were drawing. And you know, it's good also to fight fear by drawing, by doing simple activities like this, and to do things together, because there won't be any solution on an individual level. I think it's very important to make the students work together, collaborate at every scale, and to learn that to work together to solve problems. And I think with those workshops that you proposed, it was really a good opportunity to put that into action, collaboration. It will not be individual solutions, it will be collaboration. And we had the chance to host Monsieur Ibrahim Tchan, who gave what should I call it, a spectacle, a show, shall I call it a show, with images for those young kids. They were so silent, images, and his voice, and his guitar, and his singing, and they were absolutely fascinated. And so those images with the beautiful things of the world, you know, when you talk to small kids, primary school, kindergarten, you want to raise awareness by, I would say, emotion. It's not time yet to go into too much academic data. So you talk about the earth, the soul of the earth, that we are hurting and that might fight back and take a revenge. And the kids were absolutely amazed and by those beautiful images of a world which is disappearing. And it's important to erase the idea of beauty also, because, well, it's a beautiful world we live in, and we should also think of this when it comes to our behavior. Thank you.
Thank you, Frédéric, for your great presentation, and I'm happy that you enjoyed the day yesterday with us. And I would like to come with the idea of when you said that we shouldn't make the young people fear of the future. And I remember yesterday when we were doing the workshop, the teachers start to say we have to work together, we have to protect our earth, we have to work for the climate change, either we will die tomorrow. And then we will have a small girl, she starts to be afraid, I will die tomorrow, not tomorrow, in the coming near future. So we start to talk with them, we start to ask them to make small action like Frédéric mentioned, how to use, not to use plastic, but to use sustainable objects, and to close the door, to close the light, to close the water, to use really to be more efficient on our way, how we will teach them and how we want them to act in their daily life. And I will pass the mic now to Tchan, Ibrahim Tchan, director and co-founder of Ecomusee Taka Samba. C'est bien ça?
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup, Marwa. Merci à tout le panel. I'm Tchan Ibrahim, and I don't know if it's still important for me to speak because Frédéric just told what we done yesterday. And for me, it was a very good experience. I do it always with vulnerable children because in our area, in our country, as you know, you can see that some place children don't have access about education. You know, there is no school, there is no library, there is no infrastructure. No, they are just in the jungle and they are trying to survive. And we, with our museum, we bring to them what they need to have access of information. So we are start to create some tools like this book that we call Tori le Petit Éco-Citoyen, who is a painting book for the children, and we use it yesterday at the school. And I was very surprised that this all they are very interested about the book, but the book is talking about Africa, very far from Egypt, you know. So it was very interesting to know that it's still possible to connect people, to connect children, to connect youth by book or by culture, by video, by everything like this. So I'm going to say that if we want to change the world, we can't do it without children. It's not impossible because we need them to be a new citizen. We already start to destroy everything. They don't care about what we are doing. They just want to play. When they came from school, just play, just eat something, just doing. They don't know what happens, you know. But tomorrow they will be in face of what we will leave for them, and they are not prepared about how they can live in this world. You know, that's why it's important to put them in the heart of the solution, because we are going and we are leaving them one planet. Which kind of planet we are going to leave to them? You know, or how can them adapt themselves in this? Because maybe tomorrow, I don't know if it will be possible to live in this planet. I don't know. I'm not sure. So how they can survive, you know, that is the work you are trying to do. And as Frédéric is saying, is not to go there and say, to make them afraid. No, just speak with them, storytelling, playing, singing, and let them understand that, yeah, there is one big challenge that they need to be prepared, and then give them good information, try to put them in the solution, because one of the key is how we can going to resolve this problem. So try to find with them one of solution and try to put in their mind that they need to be a new citizen that we want for tomorrow, because we are doing some wrong thing and the planet is going to disappear. So we need to prepare them to be a new citizen that we need for regeneration our planet, to find the solution for their planet we will leave for them. So that is the work we are trying to do, and I think that is a great opportunity that this school opened the door for us to experiment this in Egypt, because we always do it in our country, but it was very good experience to do it with children from École Française de Sharm and Sheick. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ibrahim. And if I can say, Cultural Heritage Network. I really appreciate your efforts, Andrew, to make us here and to work with us for organizing this event. And when I try to understand what we are doing this year in the COP. I really enjoy it, and I really want to say that the cultural institution as libraries, school, museums are here to help, are here to work together with all the scientists, with all the people who find technical solutions to make this available and easy. We are here, the cultural institution, to facilitate the very high scientific knowledge and to make it accessible, easy to understand through the young generation, because there is one day in the COP for the youth. We are talking about the youth. They are the future of this earth. So we have to work with them very early in a simply artistic way. Heritage. We cannot think about the future and technology only. Our heritage is really important. It's our identity. So we have to prove this, work on this, be proud of this. Thank you so much. And finally, the N, the network, we are here and we succeed to make all this due to our network. Thank you.
Eh bien, grand merci, Marwa. Grand merci à tous nos collègues pour ces présentations formidables. The Climate Heritage Network, we made a commitment last year that we would program in 5 languages at COP27 in French, English, Arabic, Spanish, and Portuguese. And we added then 5 African languages because it's the African COP, and you'll find our programming in Lopka, the language of northern Benin, from which where Ibrahim lives, but also in Hausa, Luganda, Swahili, and Arabic. And I'm sorry that this conference is not more evidence of that multilingualism. Like biodiversity, cultural diversity is a source of resilience, and linguistic diversity is the center of cultural diversity and the diverse knowledge systems that it holds. So some incremental progress in that. Today we get to hear the ideas of Francophone, chers Francophone collègues, albeit in English. And next year we will hear the ideas of Francophone collègues en français. Okay, so grand merci. Thank you to our panel.